Welcome back to another episode of Valuable Coins, where we dive deep into the world of numismatics, uncovering the most valuable and unique coins in the market today. If you're a coin enthusiast, collector, or simply interested in the incredible value of rare coins, you're in the right place. In today's video, we will explore two of the most fascinating and expensive United States coins currently circulating the auction market. First up, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that comes from the closing year of World War II. And despite being common in mintage, it still carries a lot of historic and collectible value. On the obverse or front side of the 1945 Wheat Penny, we see the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This design was first introduced in 1909 by the sculptor Victor David Brenner, and it was a milestone in US coinage because it was the very first time a real person was featured on an American coin. Above Lincoln's head, you'll see the motto, "In God We Trust." To the left is the word liberty, and on the right side is the date, 1945. Since this coin does not have a mint mark, we know it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse side, the coin displays the beautiful wheat ear design, which is where the nickname Wheat Penny comes from. Two wheat stalks curve along both sides of the coin, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. At the very top of the coin, we see the motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many. The 1945 Wheat Penny was made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, which was the standard bronze alloy of the time. It weighs 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. These coins were made in massive numbers, as the Philadelphia Mint alone produced over 1 billion 1945 wheat pennies. This high mintage means the coin is generally very common today. Your specific coin is described as having a red color shade, but in full damage condition with scratches. That's an important distinction. When we talk about copper coins, color grading plays a big role in determining value. Collectors categorize copper pennies into three groups: red road, red-brown RB, and brown BN. Freshly minted copper coins appear bright red, and those that retain that color after decades are considered more valuable. Your coin, while it has a red shade, unfortunately is in full damage condition. Heavy wear, scratches, corrosion, or environmental damage significantly lower a coin's collectible value, no matter the color. So what about the value in today's market? Because this 1945 penny is heavily damaged, its worth drops to what collectors call call value. In this case, your coin is likely worth just 1 cent to 3 cents, mainly as a filler coin in a collection. In contrast, if it were in good circulated condition, it could sell for around 5 to 10 cents. In very fine to extra fine condition, it might reach 15 to 30 cents. A red uncirculated 1945 wheat penny graded by a professional service can sell for $5 to $20. And the highest grade mint state red examples can reach $100 or more. But since your coin is fully damaged with scratches, its value will stay at the very low end, close to face value. That said, this coin is still a piece of history. The year 1945 marked the end of World War II, with Allied victory bringing hope and change worldwide. Coins like this wheat penny were circulating in the pockets of American soldiers returning home, workers building post-war industry, and families starting fresh after years of war. Each coin from this year tells a story of resilience and transition. For collectors, even a damaged coin can have value as a teaching piece, especially for beginners who want to build a full set of Lincoln wheat cents from 1909 to 1958. Many people start there. Collections with common dates, like 1945, and later upgrade to higher quality coins as their interest grows. Up in this video, we'll be taking a closer look at an interesting piece of American coinage history: the 1974 Washington quarter dollar. The specific coin we are focusing on today is a Denver Mint issue, which carries the D Mint mark. It features the large date style of the era, and this example is described as being in dirty condition with some scratches. Let's break down the details of the design, the history behind the coin, and most importantly, what this quarter is worth in today's market. To begin, let's remember that the Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The design by John Flanagan became a classic and was used for decades with only small adjustments over the years. The coin has always been an important part of American currency, and by 1974, the Washington quarter had already been in circulation for more than 40 years. On the obverse, or front side, we see the familiar bust of George Washington facing left. Above his head is the word Liberty, and below his chin is the national motto, "In God We Trust." The year 1974 is located at the bottom of the coin. And just beside Washington's hair ribbon, you can find the mint mark. For this coin, it's the D, which tells us that it was produced at the Denver Mint. On the reverse, the coin displays the bold heraldic eagle, another classic design element of the Washington quarter. The eagle is shown with outstretched wings, clutching arrows in its talons, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation, while an olive branch lies just below, representing peace. Around the top edge are the words United States of America, and directly below them is the motto E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. The denomination quarter dollar is clearly stated along the bottom edge. It's important to note that although some people call these silver quarters, by 1974, the U.S. Mint was no longer producing quarters for circulation in silver. From 1965 onward, quarters were struck from a copper-nickel-clad composition, with an inner core of pure copper and outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. Genuine silver quarters were last made in 1964 for circulation. So while this coin may sometimes be mistakenly called silver, it is actually a clad quarter unless it comes from a special silver-proof set issued for collectors, which 1974 did not include. Therefore, the standard 1974D quarter is not silver. When it comes to mintage, the Denver Mint struck a very large number of these coins. Over 353 million 1974D quarters were produced. With numbers that high, this coin is certainly not rare. That means the majority of these coins you see today in circulation or even in basic collections are only worth their face value of 25 cents. Now let's talk about condition. The coin we're focusing on today is in dirty condition and has some scratches. This makes a big difference when evaluating value. Coin collectors are very condition conscious, and they often grade coins on a scale from poor all the way up to mint state and even beyond. A coin in dirty condition with visible scratches would typically fall into the lower circulated grades. Even though it may not have been used heavily, the damage from scratches and the lack of eye appeal from dirt bring the overall value down to face value, or sometimes just slightly more if a collector needs a filler coin. If, however, this coin were in uncirculated condition with a strong strike and no scratches, it could command a small premium. For example, uncirculated 1974D quarters in grades like MS63 or MS64 are often worth around $2 to $5. At higher mint state levels, such as MS65 or MS66, values can climb to around $20 to $50. And truly high-grade examples at MS67 can bring hundreds of dollars at auction. The difference between a scratched, dirty coin and a pristine, high-grade coin is tremendous. Another area worth mentioning is error coins. Some 1974 quarters are known with interesting errors, such as double strikes, off-center strikes, or die cracks. These errors are relatively scarce but do exist, and they can be worth significantly more than regular coins, depending on the type of error. a 1974D quarter. Could be valued anywhere from $20 to several $100s if it has a striking mistake. However, a normal coin with scratches and dirt does not fall into this category. So what is the 1974 D Washington quarter in dirty condition with scratches worth in today's market? The honest answer is that it is typically worth just its face value of 25 cents. Collectors generally prefer clean, higher-grade examples, and the huge mintage numbers keep the value low for circulated coins. Next up, the 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny with the S mint mark. Designed by Victor David Brenner back in 1909, this was the very first U.S. coin to feature a real person. Lincoln's image is bold and dignified, honoring his role in preserving the Union during the Civil War. Above Lincoln's head sits the motto, "In God We Trust." To the left of his portrait is the word Liberty, and to the right we find the date 1949 along with the S mint mark, which tells us this coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint. Turning to the reverse side, we see the famous wheat ears design that gave this coin its nickname, the Wheat Penny. Two wheat stalks curve gracefully around the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above it all is the phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. This simple yet powerful design is beloved by collectors. Now, let's talk about the specifications. The 1949's Lincoln Wheat Penny is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs about 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. The San Francisco Mint produced 64,290,000 of these coins in 1949. That's a decent mintage, which means the coin is not considered rare today, but the mint mark makes it a bit more collectible compared to the Philadelphia issues. Your coin is described as being in dirty condition with scratches. That means it falls into the category of low-grade circulated coins. When a coin has dirt, environmental damage, or surface scratches, its eye appeal and market value are affected. Collectors typically pay more for coins in higher grades, such as very fine, extra fine, or UNC/IRC ULATED. So what about the value in today's market? Because your 1949's penny is in dirty condition with scratches, its value is close to face value, around 2 to 5 cents. That's what collectors would typically pay for a coin in that grade. In good to very fine condition, a 1949's might be worth 10 to 20 cents. In extra fine condition, it could bring around 25 to 40 cents. An uncirculated 1949's wheat penny, especially one that still has its original red color, can sell for $2 to $5. High-grade examples, certified by professional grading companies in mint state red condition, have sold for $50 or more. So while your coin, being dirty with scratches, has only modest market value today, it still represents an important piece of history. Let's not forget the historical context. The year 1949 was just a few years after World War II ended. America was rebuilding and entering a new era of prosperity. Everyday coins like this wheat penny were in the hands of workers, families, and children across the country. A penny back then had real purchasing power, something you could use to buy candy, gum, or small household items. Holding this coin today is like holding a piece of post-war American life in your hand. For collectors, the 1949's wheat penny is part of the later years of the wheat cent series, which ran from 1909 to 1958. Many people try to build full sets of these coins, which is why even lower value examples like yours are still saved and appreciated. The 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny with S mint mark, large date, in dirty condition with scratches, has a market value today of around 2 to 5 cents. Higher grade examples can be worth more, with pristine mint state coins selling for several dollars or more depending on color and grade. While your coin won't bring high dollar amounts, it's still a piece of American history worth keeping in your collection. Next up, the 1979 Washington quarter dollar. Minted in Denver as shown by the D Mint mark, featuring the large date style, and described here as being in extra fine condition with some scratches. Let's go over its history, design, composition, and current value in today's coin market. The Washington quarter has been one of the most iconic American coins ever produced. First released in 1932. The series was created to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. It replaced the Standing Liberty quarter, and the new design by sculptor John Flanagan became instantly recognizable. By the year 1979, the Washington quarter had already been in production for nearly half a century and was still being minted in extremely large numbers for everyday use. On the obverse or front of the coin, you'll see the familiar bust of George Washington facing left. Across the top is the word Liberty. To the left is the motto "In God We Trust." And at the bottom is the date. In this case, 1979. Right next to Washington's ponytail is the mint mark D, indicating that this particular coin was struck at the Denver Mint. The large date style was a standard feature at the time, making the numerals of the year clear and bold. Turning to the reverse, we see the eagle design that was used on Washington quarters from 1932 all the way until 1998. The eagle is spread-winged, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons, with an olive branch underneath symbolizing peace. The words United States of America and E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, are inscribed above, while the denomination quarter dollar is displayed across the bottom. This reverse design was soon to be replaced in 1999 with the 50-state quarters program. But in 1979, this classic eagle reverse was still the standard now. One of the most common misunderstandings about Washington quarters in this era is their metal composition. Many people refer to coins like this as silver quarters, but the reality is that circulation quarters struck after 1964 are not made of silver. Instead, they are composed of a copper core with outer layers of copper and nickel, a combination often called clad. In fact, the 1979D Washington quarter is 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. The only Washington quarters from this period that contain silver are special proof versions made for collectors. Struck at the San Francisco Mint. Regular circulation coins, like the 1979D, are copper-nickel clad and have no silver value. As for mintage numbers, the 1979D quarter is anything but rare. The Denver Mint struck an enormous 489,789,780 examples that year, nearly 500 million coins. That means these coins are still very common in circulation today. Because of this, most circulated examples are worth only their face value of 25 cents. Collectors simply don't need to pay a premium for such a common date unless the coin is in exceptional condition or has some unusual error. Let's now talk about the condition of the coin in question. It's described as being in extra fine condition with some scratches. In coin grading terms, extra fine, also abbreviated as X, F, or EF, means that most of the major details are still sharp, though some light wear is visible on the high points of the design. The scratches, however, reduce its eye appeal, which matters to collectors. While scratches don't necessarily drop a coin out of the extra fine grade, they do make it less desirable. For a coin as common as the 1979D quarter, that means it is worth very close to its face value in today's market. On the other hand, higher grade examples can carry some value. In uncirculated mint state grades like MS63 or MS64, a 1979D quarter might bring around $2 to $5 from a collector. Next up today, we're taking a close look at the 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark. Even though this coin is in damaged condition with scratches, It still tells a story worth sharing and remains a part of American history that collectors and enthusiasts appreciate. This design marked a turning point in U.S. coinage history because it was the very first time a real historical figure appeared on a U.S. coin. Above Lincoln's head is the motto, "In God We Trust." To the left, we see the word liberty, and to the right is the date, 1952. Since this coin does not carry a mint mark, that tells us it was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse side, we see the iconic wheat ears design. 2 stalks of wheat curve around the words 1 cent and United States of America. At the top sits the Latin motto E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. This reverse design was used from 1909 until 1958, which is why these coins are often nicknamed wheat pennies. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny is composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs about 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. The Philadelphia Mint produced an impressive 186,775,000 pennies in 1952 without a mint mark. Because of this high mintage, the coin is considered common and not rare, though its value can vary depending on condition and whether it has been preserved well over the decades. Your coin is described as being in damaged condition with scratches. That unfortunately places it at the lower end of the grading scale. A damaged coin not only loses some of its collectible appeal, but also generally limits its market value. For example, collectors typically prefer coins in good, fine, very fine, or uncirculated grades, and damage significantly reduces interest. So what about the value in today's market? A 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny from Philadelphia in damaged condition is usually worth 1 to 2 cents. Basically face value. In good to very fine condition, these coins might be worth around 5 to 15 cents. In extra fine condition, they can fetch about 25 to 40 cents. When the coin is in uncirculated condition with strong luster, its value can range from $1 to $3. The highest quality examples, especially those certified in mint state, read by grading companies, can bring in $25 or more at auctions. Even though your coin in damaged condition with scratches won't bring much in terms of money, it still holds historical significance. The year 1952 was part of a period when the United States was adjusting to the post-World War II era and heading into the 1950s boom. Coins like this wheat penny were in everyday circulation and used by families for daily needs. A penny in those days had purchasing power. You could buy candy, gum, or small essentials with just a few cents. Holding a coin like this is like holding a small reminder of mid-20th century American life. Collectors often keep these coins because they are part of the broader Wheat Cent series, which ran from 1909 to 1958. Even coins in low condition are sometimes saved to help complete a full détaillement mark set. While yours has scratches and damage, it still represents a part of that collection puzzle and remains a tangible link to history. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark, in damaged condition with scratches, has a value in today's market of around 1 to 2 cents. Higher grade coins can reach up to a few dollars, and pristine mint state examples certified by professionals may be worth $25 or more. While the condition of your coin lowers its market value, it still carries history and the legacy of Abraham Lincoln on American coinage. Next up, the 1965 Washington quarter dollar. This coin is sometimes misunderstood because many people think of it as a silver quarter. But in reality, 1965 was the very first year that Washington quarters were no longer made of silver for circulation. The particular coin we're discussing is a 1965 quarter with the large date style, struck without a mint mark, and described as being in dirty condition with some scratches. Let's go through its background, design, composition, mintage, and collector value in today's coin market. The Washington Quarter Series began in 1932, when the U.S. Mint introduced a new design to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Sculptor John Flanagan's portrait of Washington became the new face of the quarter, and it remained in use for decades. By 1965, this design had already been in production for more than 30 years, and it was widely familiar to Americans across the country. On the obverse, or front, of the coin, we see Washington's profile facing left. Above his head is the word Liberty, to the left is the national motto, "In God We Trust," and at the bottom is the date, in this case, 1965. This coin does not carry a mint mark, which means it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike coins from the Denver or San Francisco mints, which are marked with a D or S, quarters from Philadelphia in 1965 were left unmarked. The numerals on the date are bold and easy to read, giving this coin its large date style. The reverse of the coin features the classic eagle design. The eagle has its wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows with an olive branch beneath, symbolizing America's balance between strength and peace. Around the top are the words United States of America, with the Latin phrase e pluribus unum just below, meaning out of many, one. Across the bottom, the denomination quarter dollar is inscribed. This design was standard for Washington quarters from 1932 until the state quarters program began in 1999. 1. Of the most important things to understand about the 1965 quarter is its metal composition. Up until 1964, Washington quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But in the mid-1960s, the price of silver was rising rapidly, and millions of people were hoarding coins for their silver content. To prevent a nationwide coin shortage, Congress passed legislation to change the metal composition of dimes, quarters, and half dollars. Beginning in 1965, U.S. Mint stopped using silver in circulation quarters and instead began making them with a copper core and outer layers of copper and nickel. This new clad composition gave the coins a silvery appearance but contained no actual silver dot. So, despite the common belief, a 1965 Washington quarter does not contain silver, it is a copper-nickel clad coin. It weighs about 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters. The same size as previous silver quarters, but with a very different intrinsic value. The mintage of the 1965 Desirius Movie 65 Washington quarter was massive. In fact, the U.S. Mint struck over 1.8 billion quarters that year, one of the largest mintages in U.S. coinage history. To put it simply, these coins are extremely common. They were struck in such high numbers specifically to fill the demand for coinage in circulation after silver coins were being pulled out by hoarders. Because of this, the 1965 quarter is not rare, and most examples found in circulation today are worth only face value. Now, let's focus on the condition of the coin we're discussing. It is described as being in dirty condition with some scratches. In numismatic terms, dirt and scratches usually indicate heavy circulation. While dirt can sometimes be cleaned off, scratches are permanent damage and lower the coin's grade. For a coin like the 1965 quarter, which is already common, scratches and circulation wear mean that the coin is only worth its face value of 25 cents. Collectors usually want clean, higher-grade examples, so damaged or dirty coins are not highly sought after. However, higher-grade examples of the 1965 quarter do have some collector interest. Coins in uncirculated condition, often called mint state, can be worth a little more, typically around $1 to $5, depending on the grade. The highest quality coins, graded at MS66 or MS67, can bring much higher prices at auction, sometimes over $100 or more, since such pristine examples are rare. There's another interesting factor with 1965 quarters, because 1965 was the transition year from silver to clad coinage. There are rare error coins that were accidentally struck on leftover silver planchettes. A few 1965 quarters were mistakenly made using 90% silver blanks, intended for 1964 coins. These transitional errors are extremely rare and highly valuable, sometimes selling for $5,000 to $10,000 or more, depending on condition. Collectors test coins for silver content by weighing them or by examining the edge. Clad 1965 quarter will show a visible copper stripe on the edge, while a silver error quarter will not. Unfortunately, a dirty coin with scratches and normal circulation weight is almost certainly just a regular clad coin. So what does all of this mean for the coin in question? Next up, the 1956 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark is one of the later issues of the beloved Wheat Cent series, which ran from 1909 until 1958. The absence of a mint mark means that this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the main minting facility of the United States. By 1956, production of wheat pennies was extremely high, as the mint was meeting the needs of a rapidly growing post-war economy. Over 420 million of these coins were struck in Philadelphia alone, making the 1956 penny one of the more common dates in the Wheat Cent series. On the obverse, the coin displays the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth. This design by Victor David Brenner was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, replacing the earlier Liberty designs. The words "In God We Trust" arc above Lincoln's head, with Liberty positioned to the left and the date 1956 to the right. The absence of any mint mark below the date confirms its origin in Philadelphia. The reverse of the coin features the iconic wheat ears design, with two stylized sheaves of wheat along the sides framing the inscriptions: 1 cent and United States of America. At the top is the phrase "E pluribus unum," meaning "out of many, one." This simple but symbolic reverse design gave the coin its nickname, the Wheat Penny, and remains one of the most recognizable coin reverses in American history. The coin in question is described as being in dirty condition with scratches. In numismatic terms, this would place it in a lower circulated grade, well below fine or very fine condition. A dirty surface, particularly when accompanied by scratches, can make a coin appear dull and unattractive, reducing collector interest. Collectors tend to prefer coins that retain some of their original luster, sharp details, and minimal damage. So heavy circulation and visible marks definitely bring the value down in today's market, because of the extremely high mintage and the availability of better preserved examples. A 1956 Philadelphia Wheat Penny in dirty condition with scratches is generally only worth its face value of 1 cent. However, many coin dealers or collectors who enjoy filling wheat penny albums may pay a small premium, often in the range of 5 to 10 cents, for even lower grade examples simply to complete a set. In higher grades, particularly uncirculated red examples that still show their full copper color, the value can climb to a few dollars, with pristine examples certified by grading services fetching even more. It is also worth noting that coins like this hold a certain appeal beyond monetary value. Even in dirty or worn condition, a 1956 wheat penny represents a piece of everyday history. It may have passed through countless hands during the late 1950s and beyond, being used in shops, diners, and vending machines. Each scratch and mark tells part of that long journey, adding character to the coin. For some collectors, especially beginners, these pieces serve as affordable entry points into the world of numismatics, sparking curiosity about U.S. history and coinage. While this coin in dirty condition may not carry significant market value, it still remains a tangible reminder of America's past. It was minted during Dwight D. Eisenhower's presidency, a time of economic growth and cultural change in the United States. As part of the final years of the Wheat Penny series, it stands just a couple of years away from the transition to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse introduced in 1959. Next up, the 1996 Washington Quarter Dollar. The specific coin we're talking about is from the Denver Mint. It's indicated by the D Mint mark, and it features the large date style used in this era. This coin is described as being in good condition with some scratches. We'll go through its design, the history behind it, and most importantly, what kind of value this coin holds in today's collector market. Let's begin by remembering the origins of the Washington Quarter series. The Washington Quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. It replaced the standing Liberty Quarter and became a long-running coin that was produced continuously for decades. By 1996, the Washington Quarter had been in circulation for 64 years, still carrying the same familiar design. On the obverse or front side of the coin, we see the profile of George Washington facing left. Above his portrait is the word Liberty, and to the left side, just under his chin, is the national motto, "In God We Trust." The date, in this case 1996, appears at the bottom. Next to Washington's ponytail, you'll find the mint mark. On this coin, the D stands for Denver, which is one of the U.S. Mint's primary production facilities. The reverse of the coin features the eagle design that had been standard on the Washington Quarter for decades. The eagle is depicted with wings spread wide, clutching arrows in its talons as a symbol of strength and readiness to defend the country. Beneath the eagle is an olive branch, a symbol of peace. Across the top are the words United States of America, followed by the motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. The bottom clearly states the denomination, quarter dollar. This design was used until 1998, after which the U.S. Mint introduced the 50-state quarters program starting in 1999. That makes the 1996 quarter one of the last few years of the traditional eagle reverse design. One thing that's important to clear up is the question of silver content. While it is sometimes mistakenly believed that quarters from the 1990s contain silver, that is not the case for regular circulation coins. The 1996D Washington Quarter is a copper-nickel-clad coin with an inner core of pure copper and outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. Only certain special collector's editions, such as proof sets from the San Francisco Mint, were made with silver during this period. Unless your coin specifically comes from a silver proof set, it is not a silver coin. This is important too. Keep in mind when determining value. As far as production numbers go, the Denver Mint produced a very large number of these coins. More than 906,000,1996D quarters were minted. That means it is by no means rare. With such a high mintage, most 1996D quarters are still only worth their face value of 25 cents in circulated condition. Now let's turn to the condition of the coin we are focusing on today. It's described as being in good condition, with some scratches. In coin collecting, good condition means the coin is circulated and shows noticeable wear. The scratches also reduce its eye appeal, which lowers collector interest. For coins like the 1996D, which are common to begin with, condition is everything. Because there are so many examples available in higher grades, a scratched circulated coin generally holds no premium above its face value. However, higher grade examples can carry a bit of value. For instance, uncirculated 1996D quarters in mint state grades like MS63 or MS64 may sell for around $2 to $4. In higher mint state grades like MS66 or MS67, the values can increase significantly. An MS67 example, for instance, could fetch anywhere between $100 to $200 or more at auction, depending on the demand. The difference in value between a scratched, circulated coin and a pristine mint stake coin is huge, which is why collectors are so particular about condition. In addition to condition, error coins can also be valuable. Some 1996 quarters are known with minting errors, such as off-center strikes, double strikes, or die breaks. These errors can make a common coin suddenly worth much more. Depending on the error and its severity, values can range from $20 to several $100s. That said, the coin we're discussing today doesn't fall into this category. It's simply a normal 1996D with scratches. So, what is the actual value of a 1996D Washington quarter in good condition with scratches in today's market? The straightforward answer is that it is worth 25 cents. Collectors aren't likely to pay more for a coin in this condition since better examples are so easy to find. Still, it's a piece of American history and part of the long-running Washington Quarter series, which makes it a coin worth keeping, especially for beginner collectors. Next up, 1955 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny with a D mint mark is one of the later coins in the famous Wheat Cents series, which ran from 1909 until 1958. The D mint mark indicates that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the most active facilities during the mid-20th century. By 1955, the Denver Mint was producing pennies in huge numbers. And that year, more than 563 million Lincoln Wheat Pennies rolled out of its presses. Because of this massive mintage, the 1955D penny is considered a common date within the series, making it widely available to collectors today. On the obverse of the coin, we find the well-known portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. This portrait was historically significant as it was the first time a real American president appeared on circulating U.S. coinage. Above Lincoln's head, the motto "In God We Trust" is displayed prominently, with the word Liberty placed to the left of Lincoln's profile and the date 1955 to the right. Just below the date sits the D mint mark, which confirms its Denver origin. The reverse of the coin carries the classic wheat ears design, featuring two stylized stalks of wheat arching along the left and right edges. Between them are the bold inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. Above this is the Latin motto E pluribus unum, which translates to out of many, one. This simple but iconic design gave the coin its nickname, the Wheat Penny, and it remains one of the most beloved coin reverses among U.S. collectors. The coin you have is described as being in very fine condition with some scratches. In numismatic grading, very fine means that the coin has seen circulation but still retains most of its details. Lincoln's hair and cheek should still show good definition, and the lettering will be sharp and clear. Some wear will be visible on the high points, but the coin still maintains a respectable level of detail. The presence of scratches, however, is worth noting. Scratches, even on coins that grade very fine, can bring the value down, as collectors generally prefer coins that are clean and free of distracting marks. In today's coin market, the 1955D Wheat Penny in very fine condition usually carries a modest value because of its large mintage and common availability. On average, a coin like this might sell for around 10 to 20 cents, depending on the severity of the scratches and overall eye appeal. Collectors who are putting together complete sets of Wheat Pennies often seek coins, like the 1955D, in very fine condition to fill their albums, and they may pay a small premium for one with decent details. However, if the scratches are heavy or distracting, the value may be closer to face value in higher grades, particularly in uncirculated condition where the coin retains its original mint luster and copper red color. The 1955D Wheat Penny can be worth a few dollars. Certified examples with strong eye appeal and minimal marks can even fetch higher prices among collectors seeking the best quality coins for their sets. But in very fine condition with scratches, the coin remains in the lower value range of collectible. Examples: even though it is not a rare coin, the 1955D penny still has historical significance. It was minted during a time when the United States was experiencing rapid economic growth and cultural change in the mid-1950s. As part of the Wheat Cent series, it represents one of the final years before the design would change in 1959 to the Lincoln Memorial reverse. Collectors appreciate these coins not only for their modest value, but also for the history they carry, as each piece is a small reminder of the everyday transactions of its time. While the value of this coin in very fine condition with scratches may be modest, often around 10 to 20 cents in today's market, its true worth lies in its connection to history and its place in the long-running Lincoln Cent series. Many collectors enjoy holding on to even common wheat pennies as they symbolize a different era in American coinage and are
Next
a great
up,
the 1991 Washington $quarter coin struck at the Denver Mint, featuring the large date style. The coin in question is described as being in fine condition with some scratches. At first glance, the 1991 quarter may not seem like an especially rare or valuable coin. But every coin carries with it an interesting history. And there are always important details that collectors and coin enthusiasts should know before assessing its worth in today's market. Let's break down the background, design, mintage, composition, and current value of this coin. The Washington quarter has a long and respected place in United States coinage. First introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the series became a permanent fixture in U.S. circulation. Sculptor John Flanagan's design, which was selected for the quarter, has remained iconic for decades. By 1991, the Washington quarter had been in use for nearly 60 years, still featuring Washington's familiar profile on the obverse and the heraldic eagle design on the reverse. On the obverse, or front side of the coin, we see a portrait of George Washington. Above his head appears the word Liberty, while the motto "In God We Trust" is inscribed to the left of his profile. The date, 1991, is prominently displayed at the bottom of the coin, with the D Mint mark appearing just beside the ribbon in Washington's hair. The D Mint mark signifies that this quarter was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the two main facilities that struck circulation quarters that year. Turning to the reverse, we find the heraldic eagle design, which had been used consistently. Since 1932, the eagle is shown with wings spread wide, clutching a bundle of arrows, a symbol of national defense, with an olive branch beneath, representing peace. Surrounding the eagle are the inscriptions United States of America at the top, E pluribus unum just below, and the denomination $quarter at the bottom. This classic design remained the face of the quarter until 1999, when the state quarter program began. Now let's address a common misunderstanding about quarters from this period. Some collectors mistakenly believe that all Washington quarters up through the early 1990s were struck in silver, but that is not the case. After 1964, the U.S. Mint ceased making circulating quarters out of 90% silver. From 1965 onward, quarters intended for everyday use were composed of a clad metal mixture, an inner core of pure copper with outer layers of copper and nickel. These clad quarters give the coin its silver-like appearance, but in fact, they contain no silver. The only 1991 Washington quarters struck in silver were special collector's editions produced as part of proof and silver-proof sets by the San Francisco Mint. These 90% silver proofs are highly collectible and worth more than face value, especially in pristine condition. However, a 1991 quarter with a D Mint mark, like the coin we are discussing, is a regular copper-nickel clad circulation coin, not a silver issue in terms of size and weight. The 1991 clad quarter weighs 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, consistent with all modern quarters. It has the standard reeded edge that helps to distinguish it from other denominations and adds a layer of protection against counterfeiting. Now let's look at the mintage. The Denver Mint struck over 630 million quarters in 1991 alone. That's more than 500 million coins in just 1 year, making the 1991D quarter extremely common. Combined with the Philadelphia Mint's output, there were well over 1 billion Washington quarters struck in 1991. This massive production run means that, generally speaking, 1991 quarters are not rare and are easily found in circulation, even today. When we examine the coin in fine condition with some scratches, we can begin to assess its current market value. In coin grading terms, fine condition means the coin has seen moderate circulation, with noticeable wear on both the obverse and reverse. Key details of Washington's hair, as well as the feathers on the eagle's wings, are still visible, but the high points show significant smoothing. The presence of scratches further reduces the desirability for collectors, since scratches are considered permanent damage because 1991D quarters are so common. Collectors usually only pay a premium for coins in higher grades, especially uncirculated or mint state examples. In fine condition with scratches, this coin would be valued at its face value of 25 cents in today's market. That means if you try to sell it to a dealer or collector, it would still only bring you $0.25. For higher grade examples, the value increases slightly. Uncirculated 1991D quarters in mint state grades can sell for around $1 to $5, while exceptionally high-grade specimens, such as MS66 or higher, can fetch between $25 and $100 at auction. These values come from the difficulty of finding pristine coins from such a large mintage, as most entered circulation quickly and experienced wear. Proof or silver-proof issues from 1991 are a different story. Those can be worth anywhere from $10 to $30 or more, depending on their condition and packaging. So, in summary, the 1991 Washington quarter with a D mint mark is a common copper-nickel clad coin, not silver, despite the appearance. Over 630 million were minted at Denver, and billions overall in 1991, making this coin easy to find and not rare. The coin we are discussing in fine condition with scratches is only worth face value today, which is 25 cents. However, collectors looking for pristine, uncirculated examples or special silver-proof editions may pay significantly more for those, even though it may not hold much monetary value. A 1991D Washington quarter still has historical and collectible interest as part of the long-running Washington quarter series. Every coin tells a story. And this one reminds us of America's modern coinage and the transition away from silver decades earlier. It's always worth checking your pocket change, because while a scratched, clasted circulated coin might not be valuable, an uncirculated gem or a rare silver proof could be hiding in plain sight.